All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good evening. In just a couple more minutes, we are in a little late start. But good evening. We'll give people a little bit time to join tonight, and we are going to get started. Hi, Wendy Brown. Thanks for joining us. Mhm. All right. So again, it is Transparent Tuesday. So we thank you for watching. Those that's coming along, thank you for watching and joining us today. Just a brief introduction again. My name is Brittany. This is my partner, co-host Brenda Hampton, who is also known as my mom. And the psyche in me, if you're new, thanks for again joining the community. This community is basically just built off of trying to motivate, empower, and inspire each other while we're really growing through what we're going through together and trying to uplift each other and looking at life from a different perspective and, not objectively or subjectively, but also objectively in what you have to bring to the table. And so hopefully this be of an encouragement to you. Do you have anything to say before we get started?
Nope, I think you have said it. I just will upfront let everybody know that I am pressing my way through this evening. So I will give commentary, but probably not as bubbly as I normally am. So keep me lifted. But I am excited about the topic that we're going to speak about tonight. And again, as Brittany said, um, welcome, welcome. So I'll turn it over to her to keep going.
Okay, so if you can see, so today we're going to be talking about new me, same feelings, and when change doesn't feel like change. And what does that look like, and what does that mean for us? I don't know, but I did put out a video. I'm very intentional about the videos that we put out when we're trying to promote what we're talking about next. Um, and it's trying to make it very thought provoking. So if you looked at the video, if you see me, I was all excited and cheery, looking into the camera where you can see me and saying, "Oh yeah, it's a new year, new me." Right, baby, 2026 ain't got, it's not ready for me. Ain't got nothing on me. It's not ready for me. But then when you think about change, and someone's doing it, was I really changed? Was I really involved in my healing, or was it about me rebranding myself? And I think that's something that we have to think about when someone's changing, right? We're so used to seeing someone put on a performance, right? And growth is not a performance. Growth is progressing. So don't ever try to compare yourself to someone else's growth, because most of the time it really is on a performance. And we'll get more into that about how society, especially social media, will make one feel that they're not worthy enough, or that change isn't happening because it's not what they expect it to be or what they say it should be. And so we go a little bit deeper into that. But with that video, I just want to be intentional on that. And on the other side here, my partner was like, "Hey, pump the brakes. You may feel good. I'm glad you feel new year, new you, but I'm not feeling it, right? The change is not changing. I know I've changed some things, but I'm just not feeling it." And so with that, I just want to ask, have you ever had a time where you was like, you know what, this is new me, and then quietly you thought to yourself, why do I still feel like this? And so, I think that's the part that no one talks about. Is that change doesn't always come with relief. Um, Sometimes, and before I start, I want to ask, what do you think change is? What is change to you? What does that look like for you? And please comment down below, and then I'll look at the comments and we'll go from there.
Yep. And remember, change for you may look different than change for someone else, but we just want to kind of get your perspective for those that can type in the comments. Let us hear from you. What do you think change is? What does change look like for you? I'll be saying it throughout the session tonight. I am pressing my way through, so I'm not feeling my best, but keep praying for me through this. So you may hear me say, "Ooh," I don't mean to. My daughter is so particular, so but you may hear me just pressing my way through. So
yeah, so it is transparent too.
Yeah.
Hi, Doretha Harrison. Hi, Miriam Little. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, yep.
All right. So I had asked, what does change look like to you, or what does it feel like? If you could share your thoughts. So I do see Wendy Brown. She did comment and said, "Becoming a better version of you." I like that.
Said Miriam Little said it's growth. That's what she sees change.
Growth. Sorry, Miriam, I missed that. So growth. So yes. Change is all those things. Change is.
Hi there, Mama Dini.
Yes, hi. We love you too. With growth,
you want to tell Mama Dini what we're doing? Oh, there, Doretha's putting hers in. You want to tell Mama Dini what we're doing?
Okay. So if you just join in, so I just asked a question. what does growth look like, or what does change look like for you? What does that feel like for you? And I see, because Doretha, she put state of mind calls if my mindset has changed and it works its way on the outside. I like that. So I'm going to ask my partner now. What does change feel like or look like to you?
Change looks like and feels like to me when I can see, to me, a difference in where I am at or where I was before the change, and being able to actually be able to measure that change. So it may not be as granular as someone would want it to be, but to me, change is, as Miriam said, it's about growth for me. So I think, hi Tina, I think that when I look at change, I equate it to growth.
Okay. I like that. Good evening, Apostle. Hello, Tina. Hey, First Lady. Hey, Apostle. So, with growth, right? What exactly it looks like? Everything that everybody mentioned, from is being growth for a better version of yourself, your state of mind. That is a part of growth, and I want to take it a different way because, again, with the title, when change doesn't feel like change, and so sometimes, most of the time, we expect growth to feel like we have to be confident in ourselves. That it's got to be clarity, right? Like I feel like I got victory. I'm a cheeriest fireworks, but sometimes it doesn't feel like that. Like sometimes change is not a form of relief. And what I mean by that is sometimes change can be quiet. Change feel awkward. Change can be uncomfortable. Yeah. And so sometimes when it doesn't seem like change, it's because we're not familiar with the newness that we're becoming. So sometimes it's like an identity lag. And just for a little short definition for identity lag, it's basically where you're outgrown the old you, but you're still trying to come into the new you. So you're still trying to figure things out. And for me personally, I know I can say I done everything. I cut out the habits, praying more, eating healthier, working out more, going to church more, right? But for some reason, change is just, I feel the same. I don't feel it different. And for the spiritual part, because again, we talk about the wholeness, so we're gonna talk about the mind, body, the mind, soul, and the body. So spiritually, it is a different part when you have change. We say I feel something on the inside, working on the outside with a change in my life. That is true, also. But when it comes to the mind, sometimes we're so used to our old self that we're kind of we're grieving our old identity, to put in a word. Oftentimes your change is really transformation. Trust there is a difference. That is true. That is very true. Hi, China. Hi, Bishop.
Hi, Bishop and China. Welcome.
And so sometimes it feels like uncertainty, then certainty, right? And no one likes change like that. If I'm not uncertain of something, it kind of gets you down. Like, well, am I supposed to do this? Is this the right thing for me? And then sometimes, that self-doubt sets in. But I just want for you to realize that that's okay. That's kind of change. You're actually recognizing the pattern. Sometimes, again, am I putting on a performance or am I progressing? I can say the new year, new me. And I love that. So when I was doing that, I was being funny with it because I have a different take on it. Yes, the new year, new me, you want to do better, you want to have goals, but is it really a calendar date that we're setting on the change for the new year, new me, or is it a personal date? I feel like sometimes when it's a calendar date, we're like, okay, well, this year's coming up, but are you setting up the goals realistically, like a short-term goal, a late-term goal, short-term goal, a long-term goal? Are you setting that up so it can be realistic for you to achieve? Because if not, and you're just waiting on a calendar date, where then change not going to come, because you also have to change your mindset. And so if you're not changing your mindset, as Doretha put in there, then it's not going to happen on the outside. What you're saying, what you're speaking, it's going to be the same. And so I also got me some notes, y'all, because I had some talking points so I can get you guys more engaged. And the topic for today is, and I do apologize, let me put it back in just for the ones that came a little late. So the topic is new me, same feelings when change doesn't feel like change. Um, and sometimes it feels like you're no longer operating from your own instincts, right? But sometimes that's because you didn't really fully trust yourself yet. So just know that change doesn't always feel good. It feels unfamiliar. And so when you're saying, why do you feel the same if you're grown, right? Like if I'm growing into what I'm supposed to do, why am I still feeling the same? Um, and I guess because, as I mentioned before, I try to throw out little nuggets there. Growth doesn't erase emotions, right? It just changes your relationship to them. So feeling the same doesn't mean nothing changed. It may mean, you're no longer from what you feel, but it's not the same. And also, I think a good topic to talk about is, are you measuring growth by feelings, or are we measuring them by awareness, right? Because if you're measuring by feelings, that's like, okay, I'm happy, I feel happier, I got more clarity, I'm doing better, I feel like I'm getting healed. But then it's like, okay, you can feel happy for that moment, but were you aware? Like, have you noticed again? Have your patterns changed the way you think, the way you see things, the way you speak? Are you aware of your emotional relief? Right, and sometimes you may be able to pause instead of reacting. You take a pause to be like, you know what? It's not even worth it. Let me go a different route. Let me go back and pray about it. Find my peace. Keep my peace. And so I think that's also a thing to celebrate with change. Sometimes change can be silent, and we feel like because it's not paraded or it's not celebrated out loud, that we feel like change is not happening, but it actually is. And so I want to know also, do you feel like, and you guys comment in the chat, so do you feel like you actually change who you are? Like, I change who I am, or do you feel like I just cope with who I'm trying to become?
Maybe type it in. Can you type it in there? The question so they can see. So she typed the question in there, y'all, that we want to see what your take is. And again, we're in a safe place, and everybody's changed and how they look at change, view changes could be different. But her question is, did I change who I am, or just cope with who I am? So when you think about that change, and it may not be you, but others that you think about, that this can be helpful too, that you can go back and help them with. Do you think they're just coping with change, or are they really feeling like I changed who I am, right? And with that, for those that joined late, I told everybody I'm pressing my way through this evening. I'm not feeling 100%, so Brittany's gonna be really leading the way tonight with this, and I'm gonna interject as much as I can. But one of those things, as we are transparent Tuesday, right? We're in a safe community. Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it's a process, so I'm becoming. Yeah, yeah. And I'll share with you, me with change. Um, it was a process, right? I felt like I am becoming. Um, and so sometimes, I'll talk about me, um, when I make changes and things. And so again, y'all know I'm the minister, so I'm going to come that way. But I remember when I got saved, right? I remember at that ripe age of 21, right? Feeling like I'm married, to this marriage thing. I don't know about it. got a kid, lots of things are happening. My life is changing over and it's changing quickly, right? And so I got to a place where I was like, I need a change, right? This ain't gonna work. Like, it's not gonna work. I'm still mean. I'm still angry. I still cuss you out. This is not gonna work. So I wanted a change. Knew that I needed a change, and so I remember, you know, getting saved, and I grew up knowing about Christ, right? But as an adult, um, I had not been, going as much. And so when I made that change when I made the decision to get saved, um, it was the hypeness that everybody had around it, right? Like things are gonna be different. You're gonna be new. You're gonna this, it was just to me, it was made like this grand thing, right? And while it is a great, 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 great decision, I had the hopes of everything's gonna get better because I made this change, right? My marriage is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna be a great mom, and all these great things are gonna be happening to me because I made this change. But what I didn't realize to reach this point was it was a process. So I think sometimes we can set ourselves up to feel like we are not making no change because we're expecting instant. Not that he can't, because he can. Some people get instant, gratification, instant change, but most change takes time. And I'll be, just honest, like even with me making that decision, man, I still was mean. I still tell you off. I still cuss you out, everything. And I couldn't understand, like, why am I still like that if I made this change, right? But it's about a mindset change for me, and realizing, like, I didn't get in this overnight. I've been this way for a long, long time. So giving myself grace to understand that it is a process. It is a process. And sometimes we have to remember that, right? That it is a process. Everybody's not going to get the same change when they decide to give their life to Christ. It's not going to be the same instant change you had. It may take some time. And we have to, make sure we give ourselves grace for that. So just wanted to share.
I agree with that. And sorry, y'all see me looking down or over. I have like 3 monitors here, so I'm looking at Instagram, so I didn't want to miss somebody. But hi, beautiful Brenda One. Thanks for joining us on live today on Instagram. I definitely agree with that, and everything you said. It is a process, and sometimes that your process may not be the same for someone else. So I agree with that. Myriam Little changes who I am for the most part, but coping with some parts that may haven't been changed. And that's okay. I think that's the beautiful thing about change is that when you're coping with change, that's still you being able to grow. So you're like in the mid section of that, where you still going, like you're coping with it, but you're also finding out who you are. So I agree with that. Sometimes it does be half and half, and you're in that midway. I know I've definitely been with that, and still sometimes coping with change, right, and coping with feelings. Sometimes you can get triggered when it comes with coping skills and coping methods. So you have to know like what those triggers are. And once you realize and identify those, then you actually get to be able to change and exactly know like who you are you becoming. Because still for me, I still know my trigger points. I can be transparent and real. Some stuff really irks me, but I work on how I react to that. And that's another thing with change, on how you react. Do you respond immediately? And I'm going to give some examples of change, what that looks like for teenagers and youth of this time, and then also with older adults. Let's see, for me, I think I try to manage both, but I'm learning to just embrace change. Although uncomfortable, I'm learning it's necessary. I struggle sometimes with letting people go, that my change is clearly showing me we no longer fit, or we no longer fit for my future, or even theirs, because love's hard. That is so true. That is very true. I believe people cope with what's felt, but long term it is a mindset and circumstances and recognizing different situations. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that struggle sometimes with letting people go, because that's one of my examples. And on Transparent Tuesday, some of my examples are going to be tailored to me. But if you have any examples that may be able to help somebody or be able to look at it a different way while they're trying to go through the change and be the better version of themselves, let me know with that. Hopefully it's really masking the situation. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's masking and kind of like making it sustainable, depending on exactly what coping you're using. So, I'll go to the psychology part, but since we're doing the wholeness part, yeah, it can be masking. Sometimes it's something that will sustain somebody, but yeah, eventually you want to make sure you go from the coping part to exactly knowing who you are and take the mask off. So, I agree with that. Um, and when it comes to some of the examples that I did have here, or let me see, I might be getting ahead of myself. Try to monitor these screens. Hi. So for instance, right, what actually changed doesn't feel like change when you whenever you feel like you try to change it, you don't feel change. I think that's what I was just sharing with them about um yeah, being safe and just not feeling like okay, well another example I would say is basically being able to feel without being consumed. Like you have feelings but they're not consuming you. I feel like that's a change oftentimes when um, we don't recognize again the silence of the change, or the awkwardness or the how it's uncomfortable. We sometimes kind of throw it to the backside or don't pay attention to it. But I think change is silent. Like for example, I'm gonna go ahead with my examples of what change looks like. We could talk about. Oh yeah, he wants to use it. I forgot what the sentence is. You can if it's easier for you. Okay, sure. So for respect and reaction, what are some clues or signs that you are in a season of change? Okay, so some clues and signs. So I have some title, and y'all let me know your perspective on it. Also, partner, you let me know. When it comes to respect and reaction, and this is tailored. Well, I guess it could be tailored to the older crowd too. So I have it where everybody feels included. But I know for myself, and there's still some adults that do this, so I guess it can go to everybody. But some examples that you know, or clues or signs that you're in a season of change, is if you're on social media, right, for disrespect or respect and reaction. Normally, I'm about to tell how old I am, but we had something that was called MySpace and Bebo, even with Facebook and stuff now. And so, if someone comes online and say something that you felt that was disrespectful, or they talking to you a certain way, you're ready to defend yourself. You're ready to defend that pride that you have and be like, oh no, you can't get over me. I'm going to show you who I am, right? Like you got to respond immediately. Because if you don't, you may feel like, oh, they might think I'm soft, or, yeah, I'll be trying to keep up with the terminology, but they may think I'm soft, or, they may think I'm a pushover. And that is before the growth. So a sign that includes that you have changed. It's like, you're like, okay, you know what? I was about to type and go in on them because if anybody know me from back in the day, this is before growth. I don't do subliminals, so I'll tell that. So I will literally either write back up what I feel and tag you in it, or I will call you, be like, we got a problem. Check your DMs, right? But when you grow and you realize, like, what for? I did all of that, but yet it didn't change anything. I felt like I defended my pride, but I'm still drained because there's something in the inside that I felt offended of or feeling disrespectful. Yeah. And so for the growth, it's like, oh no, I'll type it and it's be like, God be getting me, be like, you better delete it. For what? When you know not to waste your energy on certain things and you protect your peace at all costs, it's like, so what? I don't care if it was for me, if it was directed towards me, I'm protecting my peace at all costs. And I think that's the way that you know that you have changed. So again, change sometimes is silence and it's not victory. No one would know. I could have really went in, but instead I kept to myself and I said, you know what? Let me go. And this for the spiritual part. I know everybody's not there. Some people would take it there, but for me, spiritually, I'll just pray about it. And so that's a part of me knowing that I changed. Again, it's silent. No one's gonna reward me or give me victory. Like, oh yeah, I'm so proud of you. You didn't put what you was gonna put because you don't know. It's sometimes change is silent. And so when you say change doesn't recognize change, I just want to encourage you again. Sometimes you may not see it because it's silence. It's not loud like we expect it to be, right. But you still have change. So that's just an encouragement, right there. Yeah. Hi, Prophet Latish.
That was good. I like that because I didn't think about it like that. Like my own personal silent changes. Right. That was that was a real good example. Even with, looking sometimes at your circle. Like I think prophet, apostle.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
let
No,
me
no, no,
hush.
go ahead. 'Cause I was like,
Oh.
we together.
Oh,
See, y'all,
okay.
we don't, it's not scripted. So this is real, authentic transparency talk. So go ahead, because I just had a few talking points, but you own it. Go ahead.
Okay. So I was going to say, just like when I look at my circle, right? And I had to realign my circle because I had to realign my circle because what I used to do, I don't do anymore. And so I wasn't seeing the change in myself like I wanted to. I didn't feel like, especially being a minister, I didn't feel like my friends was recognizing that part of me because all they kept seeing was the old me. And they really had not truly been introduced to the new me. And sometimes, friends want to stay with the old me because it fits their needs and where they are. But I had to look at my circle and say, okay, I don't do this anymore. So does this belong in my circle anymore? And it wasn't a comfortable feeling because you go from having a whole lot of friends to you can count them on one hand and still have some fingers left. But it was a silent change for me. It wasn't nothing loud that everybody knew. I knew it, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe they didn't even know it, but I knew it because I knew that if I'm trying to do this, there's no way I can keep the same circle and expect different results.
So. Yeah, and that was one of my examples that was going to be next from friendship. I took it from you, girl. No, you didn't take it. We got this thing together. But we feed off each other. We on one accord, so that's good. But for friendships, before the growth, like you mentioned before, certain people you do outgrow, right? And for me, with the friendship, it's kind of different because of who I am. I'm always trying to see the best in people. Mm-hmm. I'm always, and it's not that I try to buy love. Now maybe in my younger years when I look at things, maybe that was the case. And it's so funny because it's not that you don't receive love, it's just a different type in relationship wise. I'm gonna get to that on another topic here. But for friendships, like you would feel yourself being overstimulated, you're overly giving, right? You're giving yourself all the time. You're the one that's always making a call, or you're the one that's always trying to set up something, or hey, let's go out, let's hang out, let's do this. It's on me, right? And sometimes, if you don't do that, or you, like me, I was working on how to set boundaries. Like I felt like if I do this or say this, like, hey, why it's always me? Why can't you reciprocate it? Then I would feel like I'm going to be all alone and I'm not going to have any friends. Now, that's before my growth, right? And this is some years back on how I felt, probably like in middle school, because then you're trying to really find out and discover who you are. You're trying to get your own voice. And trying to make friends, because that kind of leads up to high school and on. But I feel like when you've grown, when it comes to friendship, you no longer are the one making call. You're okay with knowing, like, okay, they may have served a purpose in my life for this point of my time. But when I'm transforming to who I'm trying to be now, I might have to, take a break, and it's okay. It doesn't mean I'm going to be lonely. It doesn't mean that I did anything wrong, or even that they did any wrong. Maybe they weren't capable of extending themselves. Maybe they were going through something else on their own. And, that's okay. But in order for me to feel better, right, in order for me to grow without me feeling some type of way, I have to be okay knowing that, okay, growth is there. And so I want to say this: change feels like loss. Before it feels like alignment. And so I want to say that again to the topic we're going, when change doesn't feel like change. Sometimes change is not going to feel like, oh, everyone is in alignment with me. Now again, this is before, when you get to your growth afterwards and you align yourself with your friend, it should be some type of alignment. But for the silent part, it feels like a loss. When it comes to that friendship. And so change does feel lost. When you're changing, you're going to lose people. Like, yeah. I have a nice circle of friends, and they stuck with me forever. Now they're my sisters, really. But I had a circle of friends that it didn't work out that way, and that was a loss. And loss hurts. Anybody lost a loved one, everybody should be able to relate to loss. It hurts. So sometimes change is a loss before it's an alignment. Always making the calls, reaching out, but never receiving it. Yes. Hi, Michelle. Hey, Auntie. Yes, that is definitely true. Because I used to be that. Now I'm guilty of it. Now I have a busy schedule, so but they know I love them. They call me. I'm the type to pull up like, "What we doing? You need me? Call me." So yeah, I'm working on that though. But you're right. Always making the calls, reaching out, but never receiving it. That is very true. Um, the next one I was going to talk about is kind of what Prophet Woods talked about is dating. Um, well, okay, so before you can kind of chase love, and you kind of chase potential. Me, again, if you know the type of person I am, I'm the peacemaker. I like to have peace. And I always feel like I could, and this is before y'all, so remember, before. I feel like I could fix people. And I don't know if that's part of me, like, it's like, I can't fix no one. I can kind of guide them, but it's like I'm trying to see the potential in someone before, in dating when it comes to relationships, and I was ignoring the red flag. So that's how you know that's before growth includes signs before the growth, ignoring the red flags, pay attention to the red flags. And also being okay with inconsistency, like accepting inconsistency. I feel like that's before growth, but when you truly grow, you don't no longer have access to me. You don't get to come in and out when you want to. And that's a sign, for me personally, it's knowing that that's a clue and sign that I've changed. Like, I don't care what you say, I'm hip to the game. There's not going to be a tear shed if you come up with this whole long story drawn out. It's like your discernment gets even sharper too. And you know that's a part of changing. You're not falling for the same things that you used to fall for. You're now questioning things instead of being excited, like, oh yeah, he got all this money, he got his own stuff. Okay, well, I got my money too. I got my own stuff too. So what else can you bring to the table? Let me see your fruit. Don't tell me you're sanctified, you're saved, you're playing this in the church, you're on the choir, you're doing this. I want to be able to come to church and know they know you by your name. Don't have it where I'm just visiting your church and you there, right? Like, I want to see that they actually know you. Or if you're saying you're about this, like, let it be. I used to be so excited and getting excited, like, oh, this is it, this is the one. But it's like now I'm taking a look back, like, okay, pump the brakes. All that is nice, but there's still no access. You still on trial. And so that's just me personally for mine. You have anything to say with that part?
No, I think you you have hit it on the nose. I mean, I haven't dated in forever, but I do know that I do speak to people that go through things like what you were saying, and I always tell them all you got to do is sit back and watch, right? If you let them lead with the talking, you can find out a whole lot of things about a person and just sit back watching. But yeah, just because they go to now, I'm gonna say this to the young folk and the older folk and everybody else that's single. Uh, don't be impressed by the fact that they open up that door and go into the church house. Okay, sometimes and I'll be just transparent. Brittany had a friend that critiqued everything, and then he went. But good God Almighty, going home, it was like a critique on every single thing Bishop preached. And, you know, every single thing was a critique. So what was you really going for? Was it for show, as you said, or as Tina said, coping, you know, with things and not really a performance? So I just totally agree with you on that when you talk about the dating aspect. You know, try to fear spirit by the spirit. You know, see, make sure it's an apple tree. It's got apples hanging. If it's got an orange, baby, put that orange right back on that tree. That's just how I feel about that. So as she said, you know, red flags are waving. Trust them red flags. Take time out to take a look at the red flag and see what hole is it in, or what is the what hole is in. How did it get in that hole, and is there anything that they're working on to get themselves out that hole? And don't make a red flag. Don't you in your mind turn a red flag green, okay? Because it was red. You got to make sure that you pay attention to those signs. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Like the same, my brother said I had the Build-A-Bear syndrome because I would try to build people no matter what it is. Yes. Oh, I like that Build-A-Bear syndrome. I like that.
Oh, I like that too.
And another part of growth is when it comes to dating is knowing your worth.
Yes,
Don't think that you
Latish.
set your standards too high. I feel like that's another way you know that you grow. Like certain things you have for yourself, and you kind of find yourself coming down on and be like, well, maybe just this, or maybe maybe I'm doing too much. No, you're not doing enough. You're doing just fine. Yeah, you don't have a set of high standards. That's how you know when you're growing, when you stick to what you have.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Sorry, y'all. Sometimes it be relaxed. I'm just
Okay,
absolutely
it's
paying
quite all
attention.
right. I love the interaction, especially with me pressing my way through. I love the interaction tonight. It's exciting.
It is. So with that, again, going back to when change doesn't feel like change, know that sometimes change, yes, Miriam, never settle. That's right, never ever settle. Never settle.
Amen.
Um, so for change when it comes to the dating, again, when it doesn't feel like change or change doesn't feel like change, just know that sometimes change feels like emptiness. It doesn't feel like romance. And that's just going to the dating part, but talking about change. When you feel like it doesn't feel like change, you're changing. That part that you're feeling empty and lonely, oh baby, you changing. You're starting to get to know who you are and you knowing your worth, your self worth, what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate. So don't think that I'm doing all this stuff. I'm trying to live right. I'm trying to do right. I'm being the best version I can. Um, I'm making sure that I don't allow all access, but it still feels the same. No, it doesn't. Change feels like emptiness sometimes. It doesn't feel like romance when it comes to that all the time. Now this one, I think Lady T ended up putting on. Well, no, actually that's for the other one. Well, yes, it is. It's faith and identity. Um, no, that was faith and forgiveness. So faith and identity is one of the other ones. So sometimes before, with clues and signs, I would say faith based. Let's see. Yes, and having standards in general because some of us have no standards or boundaries. So when we set them, that allows room for change. That is so true. Amen. Counterfeits go to church too. Y'all better hold them up to like, oh.
I like that.
I gotta get some. Like probably you gotta get some memes going on. I like that. And yes, lyric. Welcome. Thanks for joining. And yes, that is so true as well. That was funny. Sometimes with faith and identity, right? Before, with faith, when you're thinking about something that's changing, before you knew that there was a change, I think we get it where we go through emotional crisis, and I can be one to say this as well. Sometimes when you're in a crisis, right, it's like okay, that's when I'm going in hard. That's when I'm asking. That's when my faith is kicking in, and this is before. But that's when your faith is kicking in only when it's during a crisis, or only when you pray when things fall apart. And I think a clue and a sign for that to knowing that you have grown is when you go to church, even when you don't feel like it in your body, there's the spirit of laziness get on there, but you still press your way on through. Um, Even when it's not, you can pray without an urgency, like doing what I'm doing now within these 2 days, like praying without urgency, not just praying because again before you needed something right away or you're expecting him to do this miraculous thing right away, which he definitely can, but I'm saying before with change afterward, you're gonna pray regardless. If you need something or not, you're just praying anyway. And it doesn't have to always be a certain um requirement with that prayer. Sometimes you're able to pray for other people without the urgency. Also, you living differently without denouncing it. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I used to like living this life for Christ. It's not easy, and the world makes things seem so glitter up, or they try to make fun of stuff, or like, oh, you living a boring life. That's boring. No one cares about that. Um, but then you like the drama and stuff, and so I think when you actually can live without denouncing who you are and the change that you're having when it comes to again the subject for this one was faith and identity, you definitely know that you have grown. Question for Evangelist Brenda: what do you feel is need to change and bridge the gap between the young and the older generation? Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. I think first and foremost, I'm a big communications person. So I think that um, the older generation can benefit by listening, right? We have raised our kids, and if you ain't had kids, you nieces, nephews, somebody you have given direction to, and things of that nature, and you tend to be in that mommy mode, right? Where you know all the answers, you know how everything is supposed to go, and it's not so, right? We have wisdom, but so does the young folk, and it's a different age, different generation, different time, and I think that to bridge that gap, we adults, all of us adults, but we older generation have to learn to listen
to understand and not to listen to condemn, not to listen to just respond, right, to what somebody has said. But when we can actually listen to their hearts, that to me is key. Listen to their hearts. Don't look at their life and what they're doing and what they're not doing and things like that, but listen to their heart of what they're saying and bridge that gap by not diminishing anything of Christ because it's the word, but making it relevant to them now that, okay, so, I say this a lot when I'm talking to young folks. That's nice that you're teaching and you're preaching about Daniel and the lion's den. Make that relatable now so that I can apply that to my life now. I think that is where the church has an opportunity. And I think in general, the communication, like what Tina said, you got to understand different perspectives of things. The way it was done back in 1930 is not going to work for 2026. It's not. It's just not. You got to catch up with the times, and you got to be able to listen, older generation to understand. And I think when we do that, I think that the gap won't be as wide as it seems right now. It won't be as wide as it seems, right? Because there's nothing new under the sun, right? Nothing new under the sun. So that's what I would say.
Listen and not judge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm gonna be honest, very transparent. It took some work. I didn't get there overnight. It took some work. God literally tried me very early in when I was doing youth ministry. And youth ministry for me was middle school to college. So yeah, he tried me really good because I was adamant about different things and how it's going to be. And he just let me know real quick, you're not in control. And I think that's where I learned. I listened to music that I never would listen to. I watched things I would never want to watch. But if I didn't, I wouldn't be relatable. I couldn't hold those conversations and understand things and make it make sense if I didn't spend no time with them. So,
that's good. Yeah. And then keyword is listening. Hi, Sister Mary. Yeah. So thanks for joining. It's okay. We understand life be life and we still have a work life, so it's okay. But thanks for still pressing your way and joining. But yes, the key word is listening.
Yeah, Tina, creating that safe space for conversation like this. Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Love, peace, and godly understanding. Yes, Mama Ruby. Yeah.
And useless not trying to be a know-it-all, listen to each other. Yes, sometimes you gotta know when to lead and when to follow. A good leader always knows when to follow. Right. So yes, I believe that is true. We don't know it all, right? And so sometimes if you knew it all, then most likely you'd probably be perfect. You shouldn't really be here. So I like that, listening to each other.
Yeah.
Get there with my kids.
Who said that? Trying to get there with the kids.
Yes. Okay, well, I was gonna put it towards the older folks.
Go ahead. That's fine. Bring it. Serve the tennis ball on over here. Serve the.
Okay, well, it was just, but it's actually a good thing just for growth because I was kind of getting to the young, like how it is with, having a respond. But for sometimes with being older, like conflict and peace, with knowing different signs include, like before, maybe you're trying to explain yourself repeatedly, making sure that you feel like if you do that, then you feel like you're being heard, or not like being diminished, like, okay, whatever I have to say doesn't matter. Kind of understanding your intentions around everything that you're trying to do. And I think growth is like you're allowing people to misunderstand you. Like you don't have to overly explain yourself. I think when you get to a certain age, it's just like, even with going the spiritual route, but again, this is for the wholeness part, but for a spiritual route, it's like your level of spiritual maturity. Like, I know I'm not on the level that I could be on, but I definitely know, baby, I'm not on the level that I was on. So I think sometimes, letting people misunderstand you. If they misunderstand you, so well, you don't have to overly explain yourself, and knowing that that's okay. and that you don't have to try to get closure. You don't have to do this long, drawn out speech to try to get closure on why someone did this to you, why they did that to you. It's okay. Forgive them, love them, and move on. And that's gonna be my next thing that I was gonna talk about. That Lady T had put out there. And sometimes with faith and forgiveness, and this is gonna be a live Transparency Tuesday. But I want to get this is when we'll get guests going on for after the month of January. We'll start bringing them on. But faith and faith and forgiveness. And y'all, this is a good topic because I have different perspectives, and so I like to get other people's perspectives on it as well. So with faith and forgiveness, so before it's like because you're in faith, right? Like you're trying to forgive someone, so it's okay for them to still kind of do harm with their mouth. Like there's no boundary set. You just have to love them and forgive them while they still continue to do the harm. Now this is before I feel like growth is happening with faith. And you let me know because I don't have to just be with older folks. You can be with the younger ones. Even forgiving like means reconnecting. And again, I want your opinion on this because I have an opinion that's different, and I'm open to hearing other people's perspective of things. On how they kind of grow through what they go through, because forgiveness is not an easy thing, but it is necessary. But I feel like before you had to forgive, and forgiveness means reconnecting with someone who hurt you. Basically, grace meant tolerating that harm. And I think after with growth is, I feel like I love you, but I know that I have set boundaries for myself, and so I don't have to allow you certain access to me. Like if I see you, of course I'll still speak. Because if so, then I didn't all the way forgive you if I can't open up my mouth to speak. But there's certain times where you don't get to have access to me like you used to have. And so I feel like with forgiveness, I can forgive you, but you just don't have to have access to me. I know some like, well, if you can forgive, you can carry on a conversation, you can hang out like nothing ever happened. No, because if you did something to me that was very harmful, or to try to tarnish my reputation, or that was able to, physically cause me harm, I can forgive you, but if I allow you to come back and keep doing the same thing after the same thing after the same thing, what do you say? You keep on doing the same thing over and over again with no change or nothing? That's insanity. I would drive myself crazy. So I would like y'all take on it on how you feel about forgiveness, because I forgive, but you're not going to have that same access to me that you once had before. And I think that's okay, because that's part of growth and understanding boundaries.
Okay, let's see what the people got to say.
What y'all
got to say about that?
When it comes to faith and forgiveness, how they kind of intertwine, or how y'all feel about it?
Okay. Miriam Little said, I no longer believe you have to reconnect. So that's to imply that she may have used to thought that, but she's like, I don't believe that no more. Like, you don't need to reconnect. And Letitia said, that's right. Yeah. I know, and I know you're doing that with change. So this one here, I know we'll have more time to talk about forgiveness. And I feel like forgiveness, like you said, it needs to be a topic. Because I think that can go so deep, right? Because some people put the mask on and say they forgive, but you haven't. Your actions don't line up with that. So that's on for another time. But when you're talking about the change, you're saying, I used to be like, and you did. She did. Brittany would hold a grudge to the day the sun set and rose again. I'm being honest. And I would always be like, bro, you got to forgive them. And she'd be like, no, because they ain't going to never get a chance. So now to hear the growth and to see it, I see the growth in the change that has come about. But yeah, I forgive, but it's hard to forget. Yeah, Deaconess Wendy, that's true. I personally say, I forgive you, but I won't forget, because I'm never going to give you that opportunity again, Satan, to ever use that person or anyone like them to do what they've done to me, because it takes a lot for me. For you to get to a place of me being angry, or feeling like you, did me wrong. It takes a lot. My daughter be like, you just take too much. So that's why I was listening real attentively when she was talking about us over explaining ourselves as adults, because I do that sometimes. But for me, I won't forget. I know that it may not go with the word, but the Lord said He would forget it and it will be go no more. He didn't tell me I had to. Um, so that's just me. That's just how I feel. I'm not gonna forget it because you ain't coming back and doing that again. Because at least I forget, you'll use another trickster and get me again. So that's just me.
And again, growth and change is about recognizing again. Yeah. Are you recognizing? Are you just trying to just be where you at, or can you recognize your awareness? Yeah. So if you recognize awareness, you recognize that pattern. Like, okay, this person does this all the time. This is how their pattern is. They're not changing. Yeah. And so when you recognize that, that's part of growth. And so, okay, I can't. You're not where you need to be right now. So I'm gonna just put you over here. Still love you. Yeah. If you need me, and I mean need me, might not be the first one to pull up, but if you still need me, depending on who it is, I will be there because I'm charged to love you with the agape love. But yeah.
So I think we're in good company. I think the community is like, hold on, forgiveness is for you, so you can have peace, yes, and be in right standing with God, not because the person always deserves it. When I came to that revelation, it made forgiveness easier. That's right, Larry. Yeah. Tina said, I don't think we can ever forget we're not God. That's right, Tina. He can cast it away and remember it no more. That's right. And yes, Miriam, that's growth. Absolutely. Thank you. Because it took some time. Mm-hmm. Yes, I will forgive, but understanding and wisdom. With understanding and wisdom, I know that I cannot trust you. I can love you, forgive you, but I don't have to trust you. That's how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, again, when change doesn't feel like change, just know that sometimes change feels quiet, change feels private, change feels misunderstood when it comes to sometimes to faith and forgiveness. And so basically just to wrap it up with shared truth, because we are at our hour, we're going to do that. But for shared truth, this is for the young and old, change when you feel like change doesn't feel like change, just know that you have changed and keep going. It's going to be silent. It may be less talking. It may be fewer explanations. It may be more discernment, stronger boundaries, quieter faith, and it also be slower reactions, but it doesn't mean that change is not change. So if you feel that way, just know it's not glorified. And I wanted to get into a topic more about how social media would have us feel a certain way when it comes to change because they show us the success of them afterwards. Yeah. You see them being in the body that they're in that right now. And you see them being able to have all these accolades and things now, but you didn't get to see the self-doubting that they had before they were able to, reconstruct their body, or you didn't see what they had to do, whether it was to sell their soul or whether to do something that was out of their runway or out of their beliefs, but because of them wanting something so bad, that's how they got their success. And so I think social media does a good job with making us feel like we haven't, like change just doesn't feel like change, when all in reality that change is actually calmer, it is quieter, and it's not going to always be a big triumph all the time. And so I would just encourage you that real change rarely feels like triumph. Sometimes it feels like restraint, but just know that when change doesn't feel like change, just know that you're already in that process of change. And that's all I got to say for today.
Good deal. That's it. I think I love this. I love the interaction. And we just encourage you that. And one thing I take from this, right, because I come in to listen. We don't rehearse. We come in with it and we pray and we let it be done. But one thing that I heard you say that I'm taking with me is don't forget that some change is silent. That was key to me tonight. Some changes are silent. And that stuck with me tonight. So thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you all for participating. I'm excited, y'all. And like we said last week, this is not about trying to get clout and trying to have 10,000 followers. If we do, that's great. But we are truly out here to say, look, the pastors are doing what they can inside the church in an hour, right? 30 minutes, whatever they got to preach. But it's the whole person that's got to be taken care of. And so we do outside of that. What can we do to bring people together to help them feel supported in everyday struggles, in things that we don't have time to talk about? At the church house or when we're with our families, some people don't feel comfortable with certain things. But we thank you so much for joining in, for participating, supporting us, praying for us as we continue to do what God has told us to do, because it goes far beyond social media. So I just wanted to say that, encourage my daughter tonight, that keep letting God use you. Keep being all that God has told you to be. Keep praying, and when He bring them dreams and tell you what to talk about, we're going to talk about it. Some things are going to be easy. Some things are not going to be easy. But I'm learning, and I think that God's got His hands all over you. So be encouraged to keep doing what God has told you to do. So I just wanted to say that to you tonight because it's burning in my spirit. You're welcome.
All right, guys. So I think not this week. We probably have a pre-recorded session for Friday, but next week we'll try to do at least 2 live. So we'll probably do Transparent Tuesday and then Psyche Friday. So just be on the lookout for that. But again, as she said, we thank y'all. Y'all be blessed. And again, make sure you take care of the mind, body, and the soul, the wholeness of you. And we love you all.
Good night, y'all.